before KESCAVA came on with the vaccinations, we had quite a number of cases like rabies and stray dogs running around the conservancy. But then it was not a conservancy yet, it was just our communal owned land, and whenever we see those stray dogs running around, we could just hide in houses and wait them to pass. And we had cases of them attacking cows and sheep.
What happened is that one of the children of a worker within the community got bitten by a rabid dog. And then this was reported in the neighborhood. So one of my clients then, who was a member of the community and was my client in Nairobi, then suggested and said, hey, hang on, how can we get somebody to come down and vaccinate the dogs in our neighborhood, because we have our own dogs, and just to look after the general population within the community. So in 2016, we started our first campaign, and we came 3 vets from Nairobi, and we started vaccinating in Naretoi and Enonkishu, and it's just immediate surroundings, and the response was overwhelming.
As a result of the annual vaccinations that we started, we realized that the wild dog population also was increasing, and we attributed this because of the control strategies that we had started on rabies and distemper, that rabies was actually still affecting the wild dogs. And as a result of controlling rabies in the domestic dog, we had quite a high spike in wild dog populations as well. So while we didn't initially start off doing the conservation on the wild dog, we noticed it was one of those effects as a cascade of that.
We started KESCAVA in 2014 in August, and our main aim is to promote all matters related to companion animals and the vets that are involved in that. So if it is welfare of animals, public health, and essentially looking at ways of improving the standards of companion animal practice in the country. Vaccination is important for those two members of society. One is that in a community like this, basically dogs and cats and even donkeys are basically under the care of the mother of the homestead, the children who play with the dogs, and of course the herdsmen. And if there's anything like rabies, those are the first people that get impacted seriously. So the vaccination is protecting a lot of children, because most of the children play unconsciously with dogs, and they won't even know if a dog is rabid and they get bitten. And the impact of that is that the children are bitten next to the faces, and rabies moves along the nerves to the head. It moves so quickly. Adults will mainly protect themselves, but you see, in a community like this, dogs belong to basically the mother, the children, the husband. So those are the people that you're protecting.
So one of the control strategies for rabies elimination, and this is one of the global strategies, especially for having rabies free by the Vision 2030, was that sterilization is one of the tools that was required. We do have, as much as we don't have really a stray dog population, we have realized that some of the dogs that are contributing to rabies transmission are owned dogs, but because they move from home to home looking for food and they're not fed, we realize that as they keep on interacting in different communities, then the population, the number of puppies born every year increases, and that also increases the chances of transmission of rabies. So sterilization is one of the tools that we have started incorporating in our annual campaigns. It's still getting there, and a lot of community education is required for us to get to what our final objectives are. But we're getting there, let me say that.
Ideally is we go to a homestead. Of course, begin with a greeting so that they can welcome us. We speak to the owner of the dogs and inform them what we want to do. We also enlighten them about rabies and why it's important to vaccinate their dog. Yeah, then we also ask them to assist us with restraining the dog. We vaccinate. After that, we issue a vaccination certificate, which entails records of the client, or rather the owner of the dogs, the name of the dog, colors and additional marks, and also the batch number of the vaccine and the vaccine used, and then the due date, the next due date for vaccination.
KESCAVA is really the main driver of this whole campaign. For us at Enonkishu, my role is really the logistics, trying to find out how many vehicles are we going to have, speak to people that are involved, like Mar Predator Conservation Program, other conservancies and Parliament Conservation Area, other areas where we go, and making sure that first of all, the community members, they know that this is going to happen so that their dogs are available. And then also just trying to find enough volunteers that can write things down, can communicate well about the purpose of the campaign. It's so important to make sure that the community knows we're not doing something to them, but that we're trying to uplift them and trying to make things better.
One, I can say bringing on the vaccination has been a good and really nice help. One being free of charge. You know, most of the locals won't be able to get the vaccine if they were to purchase it themselves. Another one is the cases have gone down to zero, except in our maybe neighboring conservancies, and that is where we have extended our campaign to this time.
And what we've seen is a lot of communities are actually requesting, sending messages out of the blue. Please, 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 I have a dog to be spayed, or this area has never had rabies vaccination campaigns, and we see the good it's doing, and we want it too. And to me, that's a huge, it's kind of a mindset change that it's no longer a negative thing, that they see the positive impact of it, which is really rewarding.
This work requires effort in terms of manpower, it requires effort in terms of input, it requires effort in terms of networks, it requires a lot of coordination, and all this work would not be possible if you do not have one part of the cog running properly. And we are very grateful to all our partners. We call them partners, people call them sponsors, but I think they are really partners. They have a vested interest in community service. We have a lot of them, and we're quite happy that this time we were able to be supported by a good number of our partners. So without really being alphabetical, so you have Petstore and Loki Ventures, you have Petstore Kenya Limited, you have Unga Farm Care Limited, you have Cosmos Limited, you have people who've donated their vehicles like Sawa Sawa. We have even private veterinarians who have actually donated their vehicles to come here. So it's all a mixture, and of course our very gracious hosts, Mara Training Center, Enonkishu Conservancy, and the Naretoe community.